What's up, everybody? It's your host, Michael. And of course, you're listening to the Air Raid Attack podcast. And we have a huge special guest, literally clear across the ocean. And it's an honor. We finally got this taken care of. But I'm excited to have Serafin. Serafin is an international rugby player out of, hopefully, I'm pronouncing it right, but Sarlat Rugby team over in France. I don't know much about the sport, but trust me, I'm excited to know more and to even listen to his style and his lifestyle over there. So, nonetheless, Serafin, welcome, my man.
Hey, Michael. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be with you. I will try to introduce you to rugby.
Hey, I'm honored to know the sport. Here in America, it's growing some. It's not a huge sport, but nonetheless, for all the listeners out there, I guess start off is tell us a little about yourself and what Serafin's all about.
Well, I'm Argentinian. I started playing rugby in Argentina when I was 4 years old. At the very beginning, it was just a hobby, I just did it for fun to be with my friends. From one day to another, I realized that I was, let's say, good at it. So I started having calls from a national team and from clubs from above Europe to play down there. So here I am. I play in Italy. I play in England as well. Now I'm here in France. I travel a bit the world with rugby.
Wow. And so here you are in Argentina, of course, moved over. What was the final sales pitch, if you will, to transfer from or to move from Argentina over to France?
Uh, First time actually was from Argentina to Italy,
Gotcha.
and then from Italy to England and from England to France. But the what made me make the decision was probably that I didn't know what to do in Argentina. I was kind of stuck.
Yes, sir.
I just finished school. Was not sure if I wanted to study, to work, to play rugby. Uh, they just called me from one day to another, and they made me an offer. It was quite good, so I took the decision to come to Italy just to live the experience, and see what happened. And I like it. Actually, I like it. Uh, I didn't really care about money. I didn't really care about being a professional rugby player at the very beginning. It was all about the experience, and then it became a job.
Awesome. I'm glad, kind of interesting you brought that up. A lot of people nowadays, at least here in America, it's more the biggest thing that there is, instead of just a passion to play for this specific sport, whether it's football, American football, soccer, or basketball, what have you. When it comes to passion, what is it about rugby that just drives you to be the best that you can be on the field?
Actually, I think that is that willing that you have to see your teammates, your friends, and to train for each other, to play for each other, to be together at all time. Because outside the field, I was also very close to them. I am very close to them. But back in Argentina, my first club, Olivos, I was all the time with my friends. And as I told you, we took it as a hobby at the very beginning. But then you start getting competitive and you always want more and more and more. So the excuse to be all together, maybe it was, let's go to the club, let's run a bit, let's train, let's try to do some movements and stuff. Uh, that was our motivation, let's say.
I like that. And like mentioned prior, I don't know much about the sport. And yeah, I'm starting to learn in bits and pieces, but if you quiz me, I would epically fail nonetheless. What's the difference from American football to rugby? I know obviously there's not helmets and pads and all that, but what's the difference, if there is some, from rugby to what they would call American football?
Well, I would say that rugby is much more dynamic. Uh, while in American football, you have stops every single time you go down. In rugby, you go down and you keep playing. Uh, you also, I don't. This is very basic, but you need to pass the ball backwards. When in American football, you pass it forward.
Right.
There's quite a big difference. And then I would say that also in rugby, you have the same 15 players that play attack, defense, or they kick. You're not changing your whole squad every single time, or depending on the play.
So pretty much what you're saying, you got to be fit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Is the scoring the same when you score? I don't know what. So what do you guys call it when you score what we would consider a touchdown? What is
It's a try.
try? Okay.
Yeah, it's a try. So when you score a try, that's 5 points.
Okay.
Then you need to kick at posts. That is 2 points. We call that a conversion. And then you also have penalties and drop kicks that they are 3 points. So it's basically the same, kicking at post, but in play.
Gotcha. And because I've here we got the big league is now Major League Rugby. It is the professional here, and very few times I'll flip it to, I think it's CBS Network, something to that degree, to where I may watch it, don't know what's going on, but hey, it's sports and it's action. It's action and obviously physical, the physicalness during the season. What's your off season? During your season, what's your routine to continuously to stay fit throughout the season?
Well, here with the club with Sarlat Rugby, we train every single morning. We are like around 35 players who train morning and evening. We are 25 who train in the morning and in the evening, and also on the evenings we have another 30 players joining us. So we are like 65, 70 around. So we have our fitness coach and whatnot. We try to stick to his plans and to his fitness programs. But anyway, even if you do everything, as you mentioned before, it's a contact sport. Injuries will happen sooner or later. And that's why we need 65 players, and then just 15 end up going to the field.
Roughly, or I shouldn't say roughly, for example, American football here is roughly from August to December-ish. What's the usual season for you guys during what months, and how long is the rugby season for you?
From us, it's pretty much the same. 9 months, I would say September to April, May, maybe. I'm not even sure actually, but we play 22, 24 games.
Oh, wow.
During the whole season, yeah. And then if we move to the final, to the, how you call it, to the final phases, we play probably 6 more games.
Wow. So it's a long season for you guys, to where it's literally the grindiness through the season. Of course, being physically tired and I'm sure drained once it gets closer to the end of the year is definitely mentally on you guys for a while.
Yeah, this is the worst part by far, because it's starting to be cold, so every hit is even worse.
So when you mentioned that, and that's interesting. What does the cold weather do to you guys? Is it more because it's more physical without padding? It's more just on the body, or is it just the physicalness of within the cold weather that kind of hurts you guys? Or what's the diff? What makes it rough in the cold weather?
Probably the heats, you can feel them more. You're not warm enough,
Right.
But also it rains a lot here in France in winter, but basically everywhere. And when you play with rain, so the field is wet, it's difficult to maintain balance and stuff. So hits are much worse. You have people flying over the ball, over the heads of the others. It's quite bad when it rains. I'm not very physical. I'm not the guy who who will be making the big hits and stuff. I'm kind of the playmaker, of the quarterback. So I try to stay apart from the big guys, let them fight. They do their job, I do mine. Mostly when it rains.
Excuse me. During the season, I know what's the fan base like? Is the fans passionate? Is it a big sport where you're at? I know, football is a big thing, but is rugby up there with football and the passion for the fans to watch you guys week in and week out?
Yeah. Fans are crazy, mostly here in France, even more in here. They're crazy about the game. I know football is crazy here. I didn't go to see a match yet, but rugby is crazy too. I can guarantee you. Games are crazy with the fans. The stands are so close to the pitch. People screaming at you, yelling, or maybe encouraging you. It depends if you play home or away. On social media, it goes crazy as well. You get a lot of messages from people hoping for the worst and for the best, But yeah, people I don't know, they're so passionate. I think it's a French thing,
Hey, I think it's a worldwide thing. I know here in America, I think they're more passionate, I'm sure, for American football. But interesting you brought that up, because that was kind of leading to the next question was, when it comes to social media, of course, it's a huge thing across the world. Doesn't matter. Seems like when you get tweets or messages or whatever else social media platform that you're on, let's just say you guys took a loss and they're blaming you for the loss or whatever. Just in general, how do you react? How do you respond if you do, or how do you act to, unfortunately, that negativity from that certain fan or trolls, if you will, of other teams to, like, after that game?
Well, first of all, I never write back. Never write back. I let them talk. It's part of the sports nowadays. But actually, it does affect. I think whoever tells you that he doesn't care, he's lying. You read everything what's going on. You try not to think about it, but when you're there or after the game, maybe if you had a bad game, you think like, oh my gosh, now social media is gonna be crazy. I'm gonna receive a lot of messages and stuff. But luckily, I never had that bad messages. Even if sometimes they kind of blame me or stuff, it's all right. It's part of the game. I take responsibility of my mistakes. Nothing else to do.
Absolutely, and I applaud you for that, because unfortunately, a lot of people like to, I guess, if you will, kind of poke at the bear again once the tweets or whatever may come. Have excuse me, during of course COVID of last year, did you guys play much rugby of in 2020 due to COVID? Or if not, how did it take a toll on you, first of all, with COVID spreading across the world, and how did you continue to prepare to stay in shape, or what could you be able to do during that time span that you may or may not been able to stay in the group or even play?
Yeah, at the very beginning, I just thought that it was gonna be like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then everything will come back to normal. But actually, no, it lasted very long. I don't even know how much it lasted now. So at the very beginning, I still motivated. First month, 2 months, I was very focused, like keep training, keep doing your thing, blah blah blah. But after 2 months, May, I was like, all right, I'm done with this. I'm not running anymore until we know what's gonna happen. But it was quite hard. I must say it was quite hard. Mostly the third, fourth, fifth months, they were terrible. I felt that I was going to be there forever.
Wow.
Yeah. But after that, the first restrictions, let me think. Oh no, sorry. So I was in England. There was no lockdown, nothing at all at the very beginning. It was quite chill. Then I moved to France because I need to find another club because I was out of contract in England and the league was not starting. So here in France, the league was starting. So I'm moving here. That was my first season with Sarlat, but we just played like 5 or 6 games and it was canceled again. But we kept training the whole time, even if we didn't play, with the hope of starting again the season, but never happened.
Wow. That's interesting. And, I know COVID across the world took effect of one way or another. Set aside rugby. And I've always asked everyone that comes on the podcast the same question. So it's definitely nothing different. During that span of COVID, in your era might be longer than it was here in America or whatever the case may be. From a personal standpoint, what did COVID teach you that maybe we continued to not really so much focused on? Like, for example, for me, it was, time spent with friends and family because, we were always too busy or whatever to do what we have to do with our friends or family. So that kind of course, with everything closed, then I realized more family time, obviously. But during, from a personal standpoint, what did COVID teach, or even it might be still currently teaching you about yourself that you kind of realize, or might have came up during COVID?
I would say, as you said, probably enjoy every single thing you do. At the very beginning, it was normal to go out with friends and make a barbecue or whatever, or go dinner with the family or whatnot. But then now it's special, every time I go out with the boys, I'm glad. I'm happy to be back to normal. Before COVID, what we call normal, what we used to call normal life, it was very good, man. It was very good. We didn't know that it was this good. But after all the restrictions and stuff, it was hard. It was actually hard. But now, at least in here, everything is back to normal. Only thing that is annoying me at the moment is the mask, maybe, because it's kind of itchy with the mustache, so it's quite bad. But after that, I'm cool. I'm cool with it. I think it's kind of over. Hopefully it's over. I don't know.
I like that. I'm not a the mask part myself. It definitely, well, I had a beard that was a little bit longer than this, but it always messed it up and made it look like I didn't even take care of it that morning. So I know what you mean when it comes to your mustache.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so annoying.
But if you're not obviously playing rugby or practicing or prepping for the season or during the season, what do you like to do for fun that's outside of rugby?
That's difficult, but it will be cooking for sure.
Nice.
I'm not very good, I must say, but during the first lockdown, we all had that moment where we try to cook, where we try to do yoga, where we all went through the same stuff. But I found cooking quite good, quite cool.
Nice. What's your favorite dishes to cook?
I must admit that I'm very good doing Italian food, risotto or pasta. Amazing.
That even sounds good. I know it's 9 o'clock, a little after 9 here Central Time in the morning, but for breakfast, I'll say that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it is. Trust me.
What does the off season, going back to rugby, what does the off season look like for you preparing for the upcoming season? Anything different from during the season, or anything you kind of focus on more during the off season to kind of prepare for camp and the season?
Well, after the season, you probably take 2 weeks to completely chill and recovery for all the hits and stuff. And then in rugby, mostly you have on the preseason, you have you try to I don't even know how to say, but you try to grow your muscles, because during the season with all the hits and the tiredness you're gonna feel, you won't be able to hold on to the same level and hold on to the same strength, you know. So for example, in my case, I start every single season with 95 kgs and I end every single season with 90 kgs, because it just goes down, 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 until you attack preseason again and you get those 5 kilograms again. But it's very difficult to maintain the same weight.
That's interesting. Yeah, I never thought of that. Of course, it's more physical, obviously, than football, just because it's literally body on body. Is there any special techniques or massages or any or treatments? There you go. That you guys take after the game, because I know it's obviously a huge hit on your guys' body, muscle wise, etc. Is there any special techniques to help, or is it just more just your typical massage and let your body heal by itself?
No, it's typical massage mostly. I mean, I've tried everything and it's still sore. So whatever whatever you do helps you a bit, but there's not a magical recipe, you know.
Kind of sticking with rugby, and it's an interesting sport for me. And when it comes to coaching, do you have one head coach? Do you have a few head coaches? Because I know, like American football, you have it's a large staff. In rugby, how many coaches do you guys have that kind of oversees, or is it maybe just one that oversees, or how does it break down, if you will, each responsibility?
Well, so you have two different units. You have the forwards and the backs. So the forwards are the big guys who all the time go to contact and are fighting against the others. And the backs are the smaller guys, the fast guys who try to the runners, basically, you know, who once the forwards make their job and make some space in the defense, we're trying to run through. And then you have 9 and 10, which is a scrum half and fly half, which is me. And we try to connect both units, you know, so it's like the two quarterbacks. So as coaches, we have probably 3 or 4 coaches. We have defense coach, offensive coach, what else? Backs and forwards, probably. That's what we have in here, at least. And well, obviously the fitness coach. So 5 totally.
In France, and it might be a weird question probably to ask, I'm sure. But where is rugby more popular, or if it was such a thing? Is there a certain part of France that rugby is more popular in, maybe than others, or is it just throughout? It's pretty solid throughout.
It's pretty even everywhere. Anyway, I'm not sure, but I heard that here in the south, where we are, southwest is the craziest fans. You have the craziest fans.
Are those the ones that now? Kind of just curious. Of course, you get them American football. Do you have your shirtless guys that will spray paint their bodies during the match, or you don't?
No,
you don't see that as much.
No, I don't know. Nothing like that in here.
Because I know here in American football, it's I don't know. I personally wouldn't do that, nonetheless. But power to you if that's what if that's what you guys like. But I was kind of curious if you have those crazy guys that are out there shirtless and paint their maybe chest or back or both, doesn't matter, during the matches.
No, nothing like that. I didn't even know that they do that on football, on American football.
Not as much. Cincinnati and Cleveland, your colder areas are more for some reason, I don't know why, is more of the shirtless guys. I don't know if it's the coldness, and maybe I don't know, but it's definitely not my cup of tea nonetheless. But I was kind of curious.
Well, that's crazy. I don't know.
When it comes to weather, is there a certain kind of weather you prefer to play in? And I'm sure you guys play in rain just as much as everybody else does.
Yeah, no, but obviously sunny, 25 degrees, no wind, uh, people drinking beer, party after game. That's a proper rugby game. When it's raining and stuff, it's not even rugby anymore. I wouldn't call it rugby.
Very nice. um, oh, the question just slipped. Oh, there we go. Is there where all countries have you actually played in, or even played as it? Do you travel much? I guess I can say when it comes to rugby. And if so, where all have you traveled to play a match?
Well, we've been in the whole UK, so Ireland, Wales, and England and Scotland. Sorry.
Mhm.
Uh, we've been in Brazil once, well, Argentina, obviously, South Africa a few times, Italy, France now. Uh, I think that's all. But the craziest is by far here in France. Um, even though England is pretty special too. England, I think it was 2019. They played the final game of the World Cup against South Africa. They lost, uh, and the World Cup was in Japan. So the game was probably at 9 a.m. Back in England. So I woke up and I went to the supermarket because I need to go to the supermarket before the game started. And all the people was already in the pub, drinking beer. 8:30 a.m. waiting for the game. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I was having a coffee, and they were drinking beer and stuff.
Right. I don't mind beer, but I don't know if I can do that 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. That'd be a little tough for me.
Yeah, no way, man.
I got my coffee right here, and I'll think I'll stick to that. Kind of keeping track of breakfast and lunch. Is there a certain meal plan that you gotta stick to on game day? Kind of keep it light, or what's your normal game day meal for you?
Uh, when I was young, they told me pasta before games, so I stick to pasta. I don't even know why, because a few times I've eaten chicken or fish or whatever, and it didn't really change. In my opinion, at least. I don't know. Maybe for other people, pasta worked perfectly, but I'm not very organized with that. I don't really follow a schedule or a meal.
Sticking to the game, I know it's an odd question. I'm kind of curious. So I was doing some research last night, and the ball actually looks like a potential egg shaped, maybe. I don't know what you call that. Is there a particular reason as to why that ball is kind of like an egg, not really so much an egg shape, but kind of like an A-shaped form? Is there a particular reason, or is that just how it's always been throughout mankind?
It's how it's always been, and it's not very good, because it's difficult to kick, difficult to catch, difficult to pass. When it bounces, you never know which way it's going to bounce. So I don't know. I think it's part of the sport. It's part of rugby.
I was
Uh,
kind of I was kind of
uh,
curious if there's a different if there's a reason for it, or maybe it held up a little bit better.
I don't know, but I hate the guy who have chosen this kind of shape. Man. It would be much easier if it's a normal ball, a rounded ball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know why.
your your answer is a lot better than mine. I would have said I have no idea. But no, nonetheless, what's the average? Do you see guys play in their 40s, close to 50? Or is there a certain age limit that rugby's like after, let's say, I'm 33, so let's say just 33, just throw it out there. After 33, that's about it because the physicalness of the sport is just too much on the body.
It depends on you, but I would say not more than 35, 36.
Wow.
I mean, we have some Tongan boys that play with
Mhm.
us that they are like 2 meters, 120 kgs. They can play until they die. But me, I'm not that big. It's probably 30, 32, 33, and that would be all.
Very nice. You talk about the big guys up front, if you will. What's the average weight, if you know, what's the average weight of those big guys up front? Um, like in rugby, is it? I know here in American football they can range anywhere from big guy 350 to 4, I'm sure. But um, what's the average size up that on the big guys?
On the big guys, is probably 130 kgs, probably. I'm not sure, but it's around that. And you don't really have many of these in your team. You just have two, maybe three. But then you also need the players who can run, you know. But here we have one Tongan, one Georgian, and one Fijian, and they are over 120 easy.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to playing throughout, and a few more questions. When it comes to playing the actual sport during the game, what are the key factors to continue to the key factors in the game that you kind of have to focus on while you're playing, if there is any?
It really depends on what's your game plan, but I would say that territory first, possession, and I don't know, probably try to score as many points as you can. I mean, take all your taking all your chances. You know, every time you get the territory and you get the possession, just try to score. If it's not a try, just try to make some points. You know, so you always come back. So we always lose possession, at least scoring points.
how what's the age, what's the starting age? And someone just text me, and I know who he is. He's also a podcaster as well. What's the average age that a lot of people may start playing rugby at a young age? What's usually the average age to when guys or even ladies start playing rugby?
I said it when I was 4, but I would say that most of the people start between 5 and 12, 13. If you start after 13, then probably you're not gonna be that good, man. I mean, you lost the basics, the basics. So I would say between 4 or 5 and 13.
Wow.
It's just my opinion, my guess. You
Right,
know,
right, of course.
yeah,
Very
that's it.
nice. I'll have to tell my my kids to go out there and start playing. What's the difference from the same guy between 15s and sevens rugby?
Well, actually, the amount of players, normal rugby, you're playing 15, and then sevens you're playing with 7, as you can guess. But it's the same pitch. So obviously, when you play sevens, you have much more space. To play sevens, you need to be so fast, really fit, because you can imagine that after 2 or 3 plays, you're dead because you run too much. And on the other case, when you play 15, you can be more physical and bigger. You know, you don't need to run that much as when you play sevens. Sorry.
Nice. um, I know you mentioned it earlier in the podcast. What's the reasoning behind the fact that you guys cannot pass the ball forward? I thought that was kind of interesting. Why is it always backwards?
I don't know, man. The rules are the rules.
I like that answer. No, I was kind of curious, if that was just if there was a reason for it, or if they just, hey, this is how we're gonna play it. Either way, I think it's interesting nonetheless. I think it's kind of cool because people always get confused as if you're passing backwards, the play should go the other way, but instead you're continuing to move forward. So
No, yeah, I don't know. If we pass it forward, it's basically American football.
boom,
So,
I like that.
yeah.
A few more questions to end out. Real quick, you look at you're looking at overall the overall season, is there anything, week in and week out? Is there any certain particular skills that you've always continued to improve on, or when you watch film, how do you critique yourself? I guess is a question I should ask. Is how do you critique yourself from a personal standpoint instead of maybe from a coach? And of course, you're lovely fans, but from a personal standpoint, how do you critique yourself and not to put too much pressure on yourself and continue to improve on whatever areas that it may be?
Well, I'm actually the kicker, so probably kicking is the one I focus the more. But yeah, I actually watch every single game 3-4 times, take note of everything, see what I've done well, what I've done wrong, and try to improve it over the week. It's not only about skills; it's about, in my case at least, it's about reading the game, knowing when to play, when to kick, when to play territory, or when to, I don't know, hold on to the ball. But yeah, I'm as I told you before, I'm basically the quarterback. I'm basically the brain of the team. Everyone responds to me. I mean, I'm the one who manages what the others do. So I make a lot of decisions, and I make a lot of mistakes as well. So that's basically I try to study the game after the game, actually, after the when we have the video, when we have the replay.
And lastly, to end on the show, if you could do anything growing up, so obviously you started play rugby. If rugby was not an option when you were growing up, what was another dream of yours, or even what was one of your goals to maybe see yourself doing as a career?
Well, I would probably play basket or football.
Mhm.
There's more money in there, mate.
Yes,
I
there
made
is.
yeah, I made the wrong choice, but I was too young. I didn't know
Mhm.
about that. Yeah, but probably I'm a big fan of basketball,
Mhm.
or maybe soccer. I don't know, but those two could be an option.
Hey, I like that. Nothing wrong. I'm not a very good basketball player, but nonetheless, I like basketball, and I could see you doing that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. But obviously, as every single sport you watch on the TV, you think that you're very good at it. Like, oh, come on, man, I can do that shot. I can take that shot better than Steph Curry. But no, I know that I can't. I know that I couldn't.
Right. Well, we're in on that one. I like that. Serafin, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule. And actually, what time is it over there right now? Currently, where we are
It's
at.
now 20 to 5.
Oh, well, see, there you go. It's almost dinner
Yeah,
time for you.
almost,
Come
almost.
on.
I got training before.
Well, I'm not going to take too much of your time up, Serafin, but it's an honor and a privilege to having you on. And thank you so much for welcoming rugby to the podcast. And I'll definitely get you back on here in the near future once the holidays kind of surpass. And I wish you the best in the rain season.
Thank you, mate. Whenever you want. It's been a pleasure to be with you as well.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Serafin from Sarlat Rugby team. Serafin, take care and God bless. And we will see you all here shortly as we finish out this week's episode of the Air Raid Attack podcast.